Welcome back to our next episode of Used and Abused Product Reviews. And today we're going to be reviewing the Sapphire Scientific Pro Upholstery Tool. This is the truck mount version. There's also a portable version. Very little difference between the two, with the exception of the needle valve, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the Sapphire Pro Upholstery Tool can be picked up. I'll post a link in the description. You can buy them from Clean Pro Supply for $556. That was the best price I could find at the recording of this video. But shop around, because those prices do change a little bit. One thing you want to make sure of is that you get the clear head. Some of the older models had a blue head, but the see-through ability of the clear head is definitely something you're going to want to look for. So let's talk about some of the features of this tool. It does have the dual vacuum slot with the jets positioned in between the two slots and firing forward, so you can clean in both directions across the fabric face. It has a strainer inside the quick disconnect, as most tools do. It has a solution control valve, a needle valve at the end, where you can adjust the flow rate, and only the truck mount version has that, which is the major difference between the two. I would suggest, even if you're using a portable, go ahead and pick up the truck mount version. You're going to want that needle valve to adjust your flow. It also has a vacuum sliding slot to adjust your vacuum level, so you can decrease or increase. And it has a continuous flow adjustment as well. So you have the standard trigger control, where you can squeeze the trigger and slide that back to lock it down and turn it into a full continuous flow tool. There are other companies that make similar tools. For example, the key players would be the Rotovac shear dry tool, the HydroMaster tool, the Mighty tool. All these are all comparable. This is the only continuous flow tool that I've used so far. I am in the market for a second tool, and I will buy some type of continuous flow, and probably not the same as the Sapphire, just so I can make a comparison between the two. But we do a lot of dual wanding, especially on upholstery, and I need a second upholstery tool. So post down in the comments, what would you recommend, or what would you like to see a review of? And that's the tool I'll pick up. So let's talk about overall the use of this. I bought this tool almost 2 years ago, and we use this probably at least 4 or 5 times a week. I'll post links to my upholstery videos right here. Suggest you take a look at a few of them. You'll see some different things we've used this for, all the way from antique cotton furniture that we treated with foam, all the way up to the standard microfiber couches. It does great on everything, and a key is being able to control that flow rate as well. So overview of the unit, I really like the clear head, and I like how it's built. You can see immediately the dirt you're extracting, and also it's easy to take it apart with just 4 screws in the bottom. And pull out your hose, and you can separate top and bottom. You're going to want to do that probably every 3 or 4 uses, because you get some hair and fiber caught up in the head. And then you can actually remove the glide. After you remove the top, you can remove the glide with 2 more screws and pull that off and clean it out as needed. You have full access to the hose by removing a quick disconnect on the tool end. It does come with a solution line inside of the hose, so I think it's about maybe 8 feet long. And then the truck mount version also comes with this heat wrap on the far end. Normally your needle valve and your quick disconnect would be inside of this heat wrap, and I'll explain why mine's not in just a minute. Some of the way I use this, it has a PMF valve and I turned my truck mount pressure up, actually way higher than you would expect for upholstery. I like to run the truck mount unit on about 500 psi and then control my flow rate with the needle valve. And I do that because I've found with less pressure, my spray pattern is not quite as even. It seems like when you get 500 psi, you can then adjust the flow rate way down and still have a very even flow across those jets. So when I hook it up, I set it up, I pull the trigger, and I watch for that. I watch those jets and just make sure the flow rate's not too bad, and control that according to the upholstery I'm cleaning. So on some fine furniture, you're going to have very, very little moisture at all, just enough to basically flush the cleaner through the head. Then you get something, a rat nasty microfiber or something, and you can really hammer it out heavy. Either way, it leaves the fabric really, really dry and does a great job of extracting whatever moisture you put in. I'm going to link here on the side. You'll see some of our cleaning and upholstery videos while we talk about this. We've cleaned just about anything, a representative sample of every kind of upholstery you can think of with the Sapphire tool, and we've been really happy with the performance on all of them. So the pros of this tool, what I've found throughout the use, it's super durable. We really do beat the crap out of this tool. It hangs on the door inside of my Vortex. You can see where it hangs. I'll post a link here to the tour of my truck, and you can see where it hangs on the door. It gets beat around good. It's got some scratches, but no cracks. It falls off the table all the time. We really don't take care of it like we should, it being as expensive as it is. But I can tell you, because of that, it's super durable head, and you're going to love the see-through head. I love the adjustable vacuum slot, because if I'm only using this tool, I have to open that almost wide open, because I have a big unit. If you have a smaller unit, then you can compensate for that here. I love the locking trigger. So when I'm doing cushions or something, I just lock it down and go to town back and forth throughout the surface. But at the same time, if I'm doing edges or the bead trim or something, I can turn that off and use it as a standard tool. And I really, really like that. Some of the other continuous flow tools don't have that ability. They're either all or nothing. So I really like being able to revert back to that trigger. And another pro is this cover on the truck mount version, if it works as intended. But the reason why it doesn't, and we'll get into the cons, there's only a few cons to this tool, and here they are. One is the hose that comes on the tool. This is the original hose, but I have had to cut it down several times because I get cracks in the hose, and I don't know what brand or style this is, but there is a lot of heat inside of a truck mount environment, even if you're not using it, and I think that has kind of led to a degradation of the hose. So sometimes you'll hear it start to whistle, and you'll look, and there'll be a crack. And fortunately, for me, so far, that's been on pretty close to one end or the other, so I can just trim it off and shorten it. And you can see over time, this needle valve used to be in here. So overall, I've lost about 18 inches of vacuum hose over the past 2 years, just from cutting down one end or the other. So I need to definitely replace that hose. Fortunately, obviously the solution line is made through this vacuum cuff, but because you have the quick disconnect on this end, then you can replace this section of vacuum hose without having to have a solution hose crimped inside of it. So that's a help. The only other disadvantage I find with this tool, and it's more of a problem because the valve is not inside the case, is this needle valve will walk. It's not very tight, and you'll find that as it gets pulled along the floor, or you hit it with your foot, you'll end up cutting off solution flow or increasing solution flow. So that is a disadvantage of the tool. then maybe Sapphire could look at using a little better controlled needle valve. Maybe if it had some detents or something to get some tactile feedback when you make an adjustment there, because it is just a smooth running needle valve, and it will not stay locked in one place. But overall, this is just a terrific tool. If you're in the market, I've recommended this tool to so many people. If you need an upholstery tool, hands down, this is my favorite, and I would recommend it to anybody. And I've beat the mess out of it for 2 years, and it's still my go-to upholstery tool. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I am getting ready to buy a second tool only for the purpose of using dual technicians on furniture. We get a few days where we have hours and hours of upholstery, and it would really help to have a second guy in there. So I will be trying some other brands of upholstery tools, but I find it difficult to believe that they're going to exceed the expectation I have based on the Sapphire tool. So if you need an upholstery tool, I highly recommend the Sapphire Scientific. And this concludes my review of the used and abused product review. We're going to produce these videos. I'm going to try my best to get you a new review weekly. If there's something you would like to see reviewed, drop it down in the comments or send me a message. Keep in mind, these are tools that I have personally used and beat up. So this is not new product reviews. You can go online and search and find millions of those. That's not hard to do. But what's important is not how it works when it's new, but how it works day in and day out on the truck. How it works when you have carpet cleaners beating the crap out of it and not taking care of it like they should. And that's the purpose of this video series. So if you want to see a review and I don't own that tool, then it's going to take me a little while to put it together, but I'll do my best to get a history on it and come back and give you a review on that tool. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like our videos, check out our other videos, and so that helps us to support this project of reviewing tools and helping out carpet cleaners. So thanks for watching.